Hello everybody, this is Michael from the Boardgames Chronicle. Let me invite you to the second part of the Frosthaven monster statistics and analysis. What we'll be doing here, we'll be looking into the announced monsters for this new sequel to the Gloomhaven, Frosthaven, and analyzing what they can do, what are their statistic cards, what their ability cards. A disclaimer: we don't have all the information yet. Yeah, the game is still not published when I'm shooting this video, so please be advised that the material which I gathered here is from the various sources, various places in the internet, from the publisher side, but also from the fans side. I really and truly hope that we'll have more soon, and this year, 2022, the Frosthaven will really be published. In the previous video, I focused on one of the most prominent, let's say, monster groups in the Frosthaven, Lurkers. Today we will have completely different type of monster. And now, bear with me, I hope I pronounce it well, Unfettered. So Unfettered would be kind of a machines which are combination between some living organism, kind of a symbiosis between living organism and the actual robotic creatures. When we'll go through them, you will see that there are various types. I'm not sure if the materials which we were given have all of them. I will go through the four types of them, and they are definitely the most new from the type perspective to what we had in Gloomhaven, most innovative and most different, simple like this. We had Lurkers in Gloomhaven, while we didn't have Algox in the Gloomhaven. When I looked at those monsters, they to some extent were similar to Inoxes, with some vivid differences. But somebody as Unfettered, no, we didn't have something such different. In this material, we'll focus on 4 monsters: on a ruined machine, on robotic boltshoter, on steel automation, and also on a flaming Bladespinner. Each and every of them would have some specific traits, some specific skills and abilities. One of the common things that you would probably be not surprised, because these are the machines, they usually will be immune to wound or to poison. Yeah, this is pretty obvious, but not to immobilize or other things like stun and other adverse buffs and debuffs. We'll start with ruined machine. Even if when you look at the picture, you see that this robotic creature is pretty decaying, destroyed, still living, but all in all at the verge of destruction. When we look at its monster statistic card, and just a note which I also did in my first video, the link below, there are only the levels 0 to 3 available now wide in internet for the monsters. We don't have yet the information for let's say higher levels like 4, 5, 6, 7. So we focus on level 0 to 3. Usually we'll be starting the game on level 1 on the normal, and 0 is only if you would like to start on the easy. What we can say about Ruined Machine? As I said, this is immune to wound and to poison. It has pretty decent hit points, 6 to 9 on level 1 between regular and elite, 7 to 12 already on level 3. It's slow, very slow from the range perspective, from the reach perspective enemy. Only 1 movement point on level 1 and on level 3 on level 2. As for the damage, below average, starting with 1 and 2 respectively for regular and elite, up to 2 to 3 on the level 3. So why this enemy is really so dangerous? And the answer to this will be in monster ability cards. When we look at first at this cards, we see that this is not the monster with the highest initiative. 29 fuel leak is the highest, and 93 being the lowest. I would like to draw your attention that in many cases this machine is suffering damages like fuel leak 29, like devastating tackle 42, like signal jump 56, and especially I would like to draw your attention to 93, so self-destruct. Self-destruct if the machine is performing the attack, so is within the range of the enemy and can get to him, all adjusted enemies will suffer 3 plus level damage. Level, it means of course the level of a scenario you are playing, and then the machine will die. So all in all, our analysis of how this machine looks like, so this is decaying, destroyed, barely living, I think are fully in line with what we see in those cards. It gets a lot of damage. 4 cards out of 8 actually decrease its health. Other than that, just have a look at Latchon 31, that you can get poisoned or immobilized simply by move off of this machine. Now let us look at the statistical summary for this enemy. So initiative, as I said, from 29 to 93. It's the average initiative on card is 55, which is a medium, let's say medium speed enemy. Variation 64, so between the medium and maximum. Medium to high, it's not predictable whether it will be very slow or just fast. I would treat 29 as fast, so you can't predict in which part of a turn this enemy will act. As for the damage, the regular damage is pretty low, elite slightly higher. Hit points, I would say also the medium average, not too low, not too high. The weapon type is melee. For the specials, yeah, we know this is immune to poison and wound, and also it could inflict poison and wound, and also it can self-destroy. All in all, looking also at the pretty low reach 1-2 movement points of this enemy, it should be possible to neutralize it without too much damage or danger to the group. But let's see in what groups and with what other allies they will act, because that could be decisive. Now, Robotic Boltshoter. That would be pretty interesting enemy. If you look at it, you see this is some kind of a combination of a pyramid with some crystal, with legs. I've noticed 5 legs, and what is even worse, it has some bolts being shot from those small windows in this pyramid. So I can only expect this will be a range monster. Yep, we were right. So monster statistic card clearly shows that the Robotic Boltshoter is a range monster. It has pretty decent range, even on the level 1. Regular has 4 and the elite has 5, which is even increased on the level 3 to 6 for the elite. As you can see, this is probably the earlier version of the monster statistic cards, because you don't have those immune to poison and wound made with icons. Important note, it has target 2 or target 3, growing even to the target 4 at the level 3, so it can be very dangerous. I have a feeling that on the levels higher than 3 it could target 4, 5, 6 even enemies, while not with a good reach, movement points ranging from 1 to 2, actually 1, it's not changing. This range makes it really dangerous, and it compensates for the this short reach. Damage, maybe individual damage is not so high too on elite and regular, but if you multiply it by the number of targets, that could really grow. Okay, now a look into the monster ability cards. What do we have here? First of all, it can heal itself, so unlike the ruined machine, this bolt shooter can really take care of himself. Also, at 22, I would like to draw your attention to the safety valve. It does not only move attack, but it also puts a shield on himself. There are some attacks where there is a pierce from this enemy. There are also some attacks where the range is slightly smaller, but attack is +2. Ballista bolt could be very painful. Just imagine when you have target 4, attack +2, it could inflict like 16 damage, yeah, on average of 0 modification draw. Okay, and of course we have 78. Many of the monsters we have target 2, 3, 4 has such a card which says focus fire. Target one enemy with all attacks, and that could be deadly. Something like this we have also, for example, on Living Bones in Gloomhaven, and I can tell you that not once the member of our group died because of such attack. Now the summary: initiative from 16 to 91, the average is 57 initiative on the card, medium, not too fast, not too slow. The variation is huge. 75 is a pretty huge variation. It can completely backfire at you if you count on this being fast or slow. You don't know. Damage from 1 to 2 on regular and elite, pretty low, but remember, multiply it by the targets. Hit points 4 to 6, 7 to 10. Not the highest, not the lowest, just an average. It's a weapon type. Its weapon type is range. Specials, of course, immune to poison and wound. And remember about this target 2 to 4, at least on the levels from 0 to 3. I have a suspicion it will be higher on the higher levels. The third enemy in this group of strange machines, Unfettered, would be still Automaton. That guy will be one of the most powerful enemies I've seen so far in the world of Gloomhaven, of Frosthaven, sorry. Let's have a look at its monster statistic card. First and foremost, it has shield. And this shield here is pretty decent. 2 for the regulars, 3 for elite, and I assume it will be growing on higher levels. Secondly, it has really decent hit points, high hit points, starting from 9 to 12, yeah, regular elite, but then already on level 3, 15 for the regular, 18 for the elite. Of course, immune to wound and to poison. A pretty formidable enemy. Also, when you look at the damage, it can inflict from 3 to 5 depending on the level and the type, elite versus regular. While not the fastest one, still the movement points of 2, 3 will be enough to close on the group. Time to look into the monster ability cards. As you can see, the variation is huge. It can move with initiative 10 and get the shield of 4, so will be pretty unstoppable, and it can also be as low as 95. Other important or worth noticing ability cards is the body block 24 with retaliate 2. It can also push you, unstoppable force, initiative 45. What could help the enemies to a large extent to deal with your group, and you need to be aware of this, is heavy footfalls. 48. All adjacent enemies suffer 1 damage when it moves +2, and all adjusted enemies suffer 1 plus level damage. So for example, if you play on level 5, it will be 6 damage per adjacent enemy. And of course, this monster will go to the spot within reach, where it can inflict the most damage. There is also a version of a melee attack, tank mode 64 with a pierce, and also possibility to stun, but as you can see, Clover 76 does not have move. To sum up all of those data, initiative minimum 10, pretty fast, maximum 95, very slow. Average is 54, medium, but don't be fooled. The variation is super huge. 85, rarely ever I see such a huge variation. Damage, pretty decent, 3-4 for regular, elite 4-5. Hit points, very decent, very high, 9-15, elite 10-18, already on level 3, remember. Weapon type is melee, with one exception of ability card, which makes it range. And then specials, it's of course immune to poison and wound, and it has shield, which can be increased by some ability cards too. Let me move now to the final enemy in the group of Unfettered, Flaming Bladespinner. When you look at this, you see a ball, a metallic ball with some sharp knives in the sides, with fire. I can only say that almost immediately I see possibility for this to inflict wound or any other nasty things. Let's see. Monster statistic card. What do we have here? First of all, immunity to poison and to wound. Yeah, quite obvious. But then look, it has retaliate 2 and 3 already at level 1, and it has target 3 already at level 1. So if you take the target 3 and the attack of 2 to 3 already on level 1, it can inflict some really serious damage and can be very difficult to deal in the close range with this retaliate. The amount of hit points, the longevity is quite good, reaching 8 to 14 depending on type, regular, elite on the level 3. So that could be a very nasty enemy. Let's see what it has in his monster ability cards. First of all, its affinity is fire. It's not surprising. It produces fire on 3 cards. It consumes fire on 4 cards. What is worth mentioning here? First of all, defensive blades 12. It shields himself, but at the same time, if there is a fire, all enemies within range 2 will suffer 2 damage. It will have retaliate on the Firestone 17. It can increase momentum and strengthen himself. Flame Jets 43 is also very interesting. It can move pretty quickly, move +2, and all enemies within range 2 will suffer 1 damage. But if there is a fire, all enemies within range 2 also gain wound. Actually, this fire gives also wound on 58 and 68. 68, it's kind of a cool thing. It allows to focus on the enemy farthest away. It allows you the enemy to move on +1 with jump and then attack. And we target all enemies in or adjacent to hexes entered during the movement. Target all enemies in or adjacent to hexes entered during the movement. So it means it can actually attack everybody on its path. There was something like Trample in Gloomhaven for Brute. I played it. It also allowed him to attack each and every enemy he moved through during this action. Okay, and let's see the summary. So, characteristic, initiative. As I told you, minimum is 12, maximum is 78. So, average is 43, pretty fast. Variation 66, Medium, although it can be really misleading to assume it will be, I don't know, at the beginning of a turn, like 12, or at the end of a turn, 78. It can really mislead you. Damage, average, if you take into the consideration the individual damage, like 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, but remember about this target 3, and I'm afraid that on the higher levels it can be even higher damage and higher target. Hit points for 6, 8 for regular, elite 8, 14. Decent enough to survive a turn or two of enemy attacks of us characters. Weapon type, of course, melee, although as you've seen in the monster ability cards, some of the attacks could be also on range. For the specials, immune to poison and wound, retaliate, always retaliate, and target free. So those two things can be very problematic. That concludes my short material about Unfettered. Still, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this well. These enemies would be different than what we are used to. A ruined machine which kills himself and is decaying over time and can blow up himself, herself, plus the enemies. Robotic Boltshoter, which moves slowly but has tremendous range and tremendous number of targets it can focus on. Still Automaton, very strong, very powerful, very well shielded. And Bladespinner, something which can go at you, attack you, jump over you, and inflict a lot of wound and other nasty stuff. I think it will be quite refreshing to face those enemies in Frosthaven. I can't wait to see them in action and really to play the game. That's everything for today. This was the second movie in the series of monster analysis for the Frosthaven. You can find the link to the part 1 below. If you think this is a good video, please like it, give it a thumbs up. If you would like to see more material like this, kindly please subscribe to this channel so I can create more stuff like this. I would like to thank you for being with me today, and also hope to see you in the next movie in the series. Thank you, bye.